Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we are going to be talking about the American Silver Eagle, kind of a full overview, why you should consider stacking it, what the pros and the cons of collecting this coin or stacking with this coin really are. And I have a full list. I think that it's certainly one of the main coins that comes to mind when people are interested in starting a silver stack, and I'll talk about this in a moment, but I made some very good predictions regarding this. So without further ado, let's get into the main part of the video. So that market call that I made was probably 2 years ago when silver premiums were much, much lower and there was really no discussion, or at least there was a lot less kind of discussion about silver as a investment, and it was less publicly known. I said, I really like American Silver Eagles. I think that they're one of the best ways to stack silver. And at that point, the premiums on these coins were like $2 or $3 over the silver price. So I think that anybody who had listened to my advice back then did quite well, and that was just in kind of a general advice video. This is from 2016. I picked up a roll of these myself, and I'm quite glad that I did, though I don't really intend to sell this right now. It would have made a very good return on my initial investment that I went with the American Silver Eagle really over any other form of silver. Now, the basic, we'll start with the pros. The basic things with these is that they are kind of one of the gold standards, or maybe I should say silver standards of silver stacking. These are some of the most recognizable coins in existence. I would say when people think about stacking, traditionally it's either been with American Silver Eagles or 90% silver U.S. constitutional or junk silver. Now, that has changed a little bit, as what's happened is that premiums have skyrocketed on these. So as of today, the spot price is near $27-28. Tough to find these for below like $35 or $36 a coin. There has just been a huge inflation in terms of what people are paying for these, and that's representing like 20, 25, 30% of the actual value of the coin over in terms of what you're spending on it. So the dynamic has changed, but the premiums there are really due to a lot of what the pros are. So they are just extremely recognizable. It's a classic American design. It's kind of modeled off of the French Sower, which was then in the Walking Liberty design, which is a popular $50 from 1916 to 1947. These are large coins. They are struck with a lot of quality, and also they're almost always beautifully uncirculated, like the ones in front of us. These are a little bit old. They have a few spots on them, but the coins have a very high quality, and that compares with something like junk silver, where there's a lot that are quite worn down. Maybe they're slick and they're not really weighing their initial amount of silver. These they're not being circulated, they're not being spent, so they're always beautifully uncirculated, and they present well. If they're not, if they're a little bit dinged up, maybe there's a slightly lower premium, but a fair amount of these end up getting toned. Or if you have a pocket piece where you carry it around for a few years and it gets super worn, that is also valuable. So there's a good, without you doing anything, if these coins end up toning, that's going to be favorable from a value of the coin's perspective. And if the coins don't end up toning, and they just stay as is, then you still have that 1 ounce of silver. It's very standardized. That's also a big deal. It's 1 ounce of silver. Instead of having to do complicated calculations, it may not be that complicated, but instead of having to really think through the amount of silver, this is exactly 1 ounce. What's the price of silver? It's always denominated by the ounce, and that is really important for people who are stacking. And that's super convenient. And these really have extreme recognizability, even to non-stackers. It's clear that this is the U.S. 1 ounce coin. And, I'm generally not a prepping mentality sort of person, but in that situation, I would think that this would be probably some of the best material that you can have. It says that it's silver on the coin. It's also, if you pass these down, it says 1 ounce of fine silver. It's a lot, less likely that somebody is going to take this that you give to them and spend it, or exchange it at the bank Whereas if you have like junk silver, 90% silver, I don't think it's a big risk, but there's enough, great stories that I've had where I go to the bank and I can pick up a ton of silver for face value, where probably not going to happen with these 1 ounce coins. They're also, they're you can spend it if you needed to. So the flip side of that is, unlike some of the foreign government, other government rounds, I've got some right here. Let's see, this one doesn't look super recognized. This is a Ukrainian 1 ounce coin, but that coin, you can't spend it for $1. So if things, if silver's value has no value, you still have $1. I don't think that really matters, but I figured I would mention it. And yeah, lastly, these are just high quality coins, American, very nice designs. The real negatives are the premium. So that's the big thing right now. Like I said, the premium is really high to the point where I would personally decide to, if I was adding to my stack, I would be looking for either bars, like 10-ounce bars, or junk silver, 90% silver, because the premiums, that stuff is a lot more common, and I'm not really somebody who believes that we're going to need to like barter with these in the future. So I'm not even really adding a ton to my stack right now. I think silver, I'm not saying it's undervalued, but I think that some of the price upward potential has kind of gone away since we've been in kind of the $15 range for a while. Now we're up at near 30, and the premiums are so high. Physical silver is challenging to come by. I mean, I think that it's pretty challenging actually to justify paying so much more for these American Silver Eagles, because if we have a normalization of supply, then I think the premiums that you're paying are going to be challenging to recoup, and the premiums on these often go up a lot faster than premiums on other gold or silver coins. If you really like the 1 ounce, the government rounds, I think Britannias are pretty cheap right now, and so that's kind of how I'm approaching. That's really my best piece of advice there, is that I think that when premiums are like $2, $3, maybe even $4 a coin, that you really can't go wrong. One pro that I neglected to mention is when you sell these, you are paying higher premiums, but when you sell them, if you sell them to another collector, you're definitely going to get the premium. If you sell them to a coin shop, they should pay pretty well, especially if you have a large quantity and you know what you're doing. It's not like you're coming in off the street and kind of pretending that you really have no idea what you're dealing with. If you know that they have premium and you can represent that that about them, then you'll do pretty well, and you're going to be able to be compensated fairly if there is an event where you do end up needing to sell. I think one thing, there's no security features. So, on Canadian Maple Leaves, there's security features. These are I think that those are coming in some sort of sense in some of the future American Silver Eagles, but like this coin, there's been two designs. There's one at the time that I'm making this, I don't think you can access them. I'm going to release it a little bit ahead of time because I like to actually make silver related content and then release it a fair amount after I film, just because I think my content, I want to make it evergreen and less like capitalizing on the current environment just so that I can drive clicks. This is my general Silver Eagle. That's why I was saying like premiums of 3 an ounce or below, that's really the sweet spot when American Silver Eagles stand out as by far the best investment from a silver perspective. But the higher premiums are a downside. This one has some unfortunate maybe fingerprinting or something going on. And then lastly, it can be challenging to complete a collection. The mint has made some, proof issues, some kind of burnished coins or reverse proof, and they can be marketed quite a lot. There's also, people can like the American Silver Eagle as an investment. I have a video totally separate on them, but then, getting into graded bullion, I think is a mistake. That's just my 5-second answer. Don't buy the graded bullion. They come up with all sorts of things to put holder designations on these, and there's not really much advantage to doing that. There's really none. But you can see how challenging if you really want to be a completionist with the different holder labels, or you can even just go kind of by mint and by the reverse proof. That could be, fun to go after, but often the premiums on that stuff is so crazy. And I always say when you're dealing with silver, you want to focus on the silver as an investment. If you like coins, then you can think about, buying some classic coins that have just really the numismatic perspective. I don't think it's great to mix them. That's my personal opinion. So that brings us to the end of this video on the American Silver Eagle. Please comment your thoughts. I know a lot of people are still buying these with the high premiums. They really think that that's the way to go. This is the top standard for coins. I just think, when you're buying it, be smart. There's no reason that in 10 years, the premium is going to be super high on these. Still, I think that supply will normalize. That's my personal opinion, but we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and definitely subscribe to the channel and connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I also have a website, treasuretownYT.com, where you should go so that you can learn more about coins as well as what's happening on the channel and possibly find a place to sell your coins and collectibles. I also want to talk about some of my other projects like coinmeltprice.com, which shows precious metals prices as well as the melt values of coins containing those precious metals, both US and world. I also have coinsmetalscards.com, which will develop into a full marketplace as well as a news source for coins, metals, cards, as the name might suggest. And then treasuretowncoins.com, which long-term will be my coin dealing entity separate from the channel. And lastly, whatsthegrade.com, which will be a stickering service for already certified collectibles where you can get a approval or verification of the grade on the holder. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos.